Good morning. We're back to talk about one last piece of the data security, and that is how to handle data within enterprise systems itself. We have an enterprise data handling policy and procedure document. It is stored on the enterprise systems SharePoint Connect site, and you can see it's right here. Bring it up for you. Okay, this document has criteria that may be more stringent in some cases than the university-wide policies and procedures might dictate and other standards. And when that's the case, these are to be applied regardless. If this is more restricted, you are to follow these procedures, not what might be allowed somewhere else on the university. So that's an important thing to know here. If there are ever questions about moving data out of enterprise systems area, you are to contact Dave Gruber or myself, Warren Curry, or whoever the ISM and ISAs are at that point. And there's no exceptions to that. If in doubt, ask. So we've covered the various types of sensitive data, PII, PER, etc. before in other sessions. I'm not going to go through that again in any depth, but you should be familiar with those now. And what we're basically saying here is that any data that is part of our enterprise applications should be considered sensitive and handled in this way. Now, what do we mean by any data? A list of departments that comes out of one of our files that you're handling to somebody in an ad hoc, we want you to use these methods for that. You don't use email, you don't use anything else like I've said before. You use one of these four methods for moving the data around, even in an ad hoc situation. And the methods are down below, we'll get to in a minute. But those data are restricted and sensitive from the standpoint of this. And you may not use Exchange, Link, Connect. You really shouldn't putting things in PPM, the project system. That's not necessarily a good place for those types of data. Okay, so this was initially created in the spring of 2013. I think roughly it was probably late April 2013. These procedures went into effect, and they're in effect from going forward. But there are the methods approved for sharing data to anyone outside of the application databases that UFIT Enterprise Systems support, and they're listed below. There are no other approved methods. Okay. If you get an exception from the senior director, the directors, or the ISM, the other directors, by the way, are Greg Dubois and Jim Fryman at this point in time. If you get an exception, that is not an exception forever. That is a one-time exception, not to same case comes up later, you need to go back and make sure that's still okay to do. That is confusing or whatever. It's kind of like certain terms in other contracts. Just because I've let you do something once doesn't mean we might let you do it again. So we might change our mind on a subsequent time. Alright, so the four methods of transmitting data are secure FTP, and I do have the secure FTP. There are potentially some problems. Check your workstations, make sure that the FTP tools that you have installed on your workstations are in fact doing secure FTP transfers. If you have a tool on your desktop, don't just assume that you have an FTP, it is secure. Make sure that that's the case. Production support services will be more than happy to help you with this if you need that, and you should see Tom Casserly or Tony in those areas, and they will help you with making sure you know how to do the secure FTP if you're not sure. WebDAV, and in the case of the main campus site, there is a shared server environment file with the enrollment office, so they can use that in the same nature as the WebDAV. But web devs are set up for many of our customers. There are situations, and the people generally within our core offices have access to one or more web devs, and it's a matter of understanding which ones those are. We are working in the security team to make a better list of what the web devs are and which ones might be pertinent for certain types to work with certain offices or people on. So we'll get some more reference data on that, and you should look for that. Mainframe data sets. If you're working in the mainframe, there are RACF security groups that are set up for most people on campus around various areas, whether you're sending data to let's say Dr. Zeglin's staff or housing or some other office on campus. Many of those offices already have RACF access to certain types of data sets named in a certain particular way. Again, if you have questions about that, see the security team, and they can help you figure out is there a way to do that. Those of you on main campus also understand that, and Jay Schnettel is a good resource if you're on the main campus area. But you are allowed to move data through the RACF security groups that are set up in advance. Lastly, FileExpress. FileExpress is basically a Dropbox type tool. It encrypts the data going in and going out of it, and it also is encrypted while it's at rest. And the data will stay there for approximately 24 hours. I think there is some provisions to allow it to stay for maybe an extra day, but it will automatically disappear as well when you put data there. But it is a way that someone with a Gator link on campus or somewhere can you can send data out there, and they in turn can go retrieve that data and download it to their workstation server, wherever it is they would like to put the data. And it's a safe path, been sanctioned by the Privacy Office. In any case, in any of these methods, if you're moving the hardcore PII data, what would that be? Things like a social security number or a passport number or a person's bank account number, things that would definitely be hardcore, very sensitive personal identifiers, very sensitive personal identifiers. You should get permission to move that at any time out of the department if it is not a production process that is moving it, say, to one of our vendors or the state of Florida or something like that. So we're wanting to know when social security numbers, when bank account numbers, things of that nature are leaving our firewalled area for some reason. Customers in core areas should not be getting lists of social security numbers and things like that without their management and the ES management being fully and totally aware of that and understanding how and where it's going to be stored and secured. Okay, lastly, I don't know, it's hard to ask if you have questions doing this way. So if you do have questions on this, when we meet in person, if you have any kind of question, this is very important for you to follow and to understand. And this applies to any ad hoc non-production process that is moving data in and out of the system. They're good processes to follow, and most of our production processes follow one of these methods already, and so we're really asking for the same methods we use in production processes to be used and applied when we're doing ad hoc processes, is really what's going on here. So I'll see you probably in a few hours from now to review and sign the documents.